It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
Bad.
Hey, welcome to Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
Okay, today
We're pretty close.
we are we. You find well, we have to be close. So we get into the camera. We got to be really tight. This is like the front seat of a Triumph Spitfire.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So today is November 26th.
It is.
It is November 26th.
Yeah.
And we are going to get to this day in hockey history later.
Yes.
But right now, I've got a couple of things to bring up that I'm upset about. I haven't shared this with you.
Okay.
So I got a letter.
Nice.
I got a letter, and it started out with, "Hey, I have been watching your show,
Yeah.
and I had your they had listened to the podcast first,
Okay.
okay, and she says to me, I think you have a wonderful voice," and she starts buttering me up, right? And I'm going, well, I'm thinking to myself, hey,
Nice letter.
And she goes, well, absolutely. Then she says, but you don't look like your voice. So she thinks I have a wonderful voice, but I don't look wonderful, apparently.
Oh.
So here's what
She didn't specifically say that.
she didn't specifically, but that's how I took it.
Okay.
I kind of took it that way. I don't look like my voice. So I'm not sure what image people have
Interesting.
of my voice
Yeah.
outside of this.
Yeah.
Okay. But she didn't have it. But I'm going to say this to this person, okay, and I want you to watch and continue watching, okay, and anybody else who feels the same way, I want you to know, fuck you, okay, and I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell my wife when we make love. Just close your eyes and pretend it's not me. It'll be much better, okay? So as long as you do that, but I needed to start this with that.
That was a hell of a letter.
It was it hurt me. Yeah. It hurt me right here.
I could tell.
Right here.
Got you right in the...
right in the aortic area.
Something like
the
that.
Aortic, the testicular area.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
So I've got... so, your week. You had a busy week.
I had a busy week.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what did you do this week, Lillian? Let's tell everybody what you did this
Well, I
week.
didn't actually do much, but my mom is in Quebec City, as some people who know me know that I moved her down there on September 29th, and her health is failing, and so she's been hospitalized a couple times down there, and she was in, and I was informed by one of the good doctors, it might be a good idea. I said, well, I'm in Ottawa, I'm 300 miles away. He said, well, if you can make it down, probably be a good idea. And I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah.
She's 92, very close to 93 now, my mom, and I thought that's a pretty good sign. And plus my cousins who have been in almost daily to see her said,
Suggested you should come.
It's not doing well. And then, so I popped down and, true to form, it's been the last 12 months, she just started bouncing back, and ended up with a couple of pretty good days. She regressed a little on the Friday, the day I came back. And so here we are. But I was in Quebec City for basically almost 4 days and booting around between Shannon and Stone.
You didn't arrange for an NHL franchise to be
located
there while you were there?
Not this trip, but the one before. I went by the arena.
Yeah?
The Videotron Arena. And just took in sort of the enormity of the work that went in there to build this arena, and I think everybody in good conscience and everybody's thought process, mine as well, felt that they were going to be in the wave of expansion. There's no question about it, as the NHL is going to from 30 to 32 teams, and if not even before. And lo and behold, the word on the street, plain and simple, Chris, is that the current ownership group of the arena and the area there and whatnot are affiliated or associated with
Cirque du Soleil.
Well, they're affiliated with the separatist movement party.
So?
And this is allegedly a problem.
With the NHL?
Yeah. Allegedly, this is what I'm hearing is one of the drawbacks or setbacks or pushbacks, however you want to say it, for Quebec to date. I mean, they've got an NHL arena there.
When you say there's with the separatists, you mean with the Parti Québécois?
Yeah.
But the Parti Québécois is not a separatist organization anymore. They are running the provincial government as part of confederation in Canada.
Right.
And they're no longer calling for leaving Canada. Though, I'll be honest with you, I'm thinking if they do leave, I'm thinking about moving to Quebec, if that's the fucking case, because I'm not a big fan of our current regime. And when I say regime, I mean that in a totalitarian fucking way.
Yeah,
okay?
I know. I hear you on that one, and I get it. And I don't know the intricacies. I certainly don't know a lot about politics, not much. I always vote, and I try and get informed when I get there.
Well, that's the best way to vote, not knowing anything.
Yeah, just go and just,
the typical Canadian response, well, his hair is good.
Tic-tac-toe. Yeah, that's why I
good.
vote on hair. Certainly have my strong affinities and affiliations mentally in terms of who I'd like to see at various levels of government, and I ran out here municipally and poured my heart into that in 2014, so. But this is the word on the street, anyway.
That's not good.
Why
Then
Quebec
why
is.
doesn't?
Plus the money. Look, they're as much as they came. Sorry to interrupt you, but as much as they, back when that arena was built, allegedly had the money at that time. Now with Seattle going for $750 as an expansion, Ottawa sells for $950. You know, the next wave of expansion, whenever it comes, what are they going to ask for? And does that money exists still in the Videotron makeup of whoever would be the ownership group of a potential franchise in Quebec? Everybody says it's a no-brainer. Of course, it would be a no-brainer. We saw the value of the Nords through the 80s when they were a competitive team.
Yeah.
And the Battle of Quebec with Montreal, you could make the case, was the most significant rivalry in sports history. They met in the playoffs 5 times. We all know about Good Friday, 1984. Right. There's never been a game like it in the history of the NHL. So, you know, you've got a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that it would be great to have another franchise back in Canada.
Yes.
In a 32-team league that has right now only 7 Canadian franchises. So it'd be great to have an 8th back. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
I went to Quebec to see my mom.
Yes.
And she's doing okay, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Very frail. Look, none of us are living forever. We're all going to that same 24-hour bar in the sky, and I know it's a 24-hour bar, and it's
you hope it's a 24.
Well, I know
you just hope you're not going to be the staff.
I'll be the staff.
You know what I mean?
I've worked in bars before.
Yeah.
What a great job, especially up there. I mean, what's going to be like? I mean, here's 2 for you and 4 for me.
Just so you know, you get up there and you have to work for John Taffer.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
that could be a problem.
Okay. So listen. So I'm going to ask you. So you had a good drive, and you had
a good drive. Thanks to you.
No, don't worry.
Thanks to you. Chris lent me one of his vehicles. What year is that?
That's 2016.
Holy jeez, man! Like you'd never know.
Well,
it's like it came right off the lot.
Yeah, like, you know what? I believe in taking care of your cars.
Yeah,
you take care of them,
have.
And then they last for a long time. Like I've got cars dating back to the 50s.
I know you do. You know,
no, I didn't own them since the 50s.
No, I know, but you know, edit in a picture.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll edit in a couple of pictures.
Yeah, edit in a couple pictures, man. Oh, your cars are spectacular. I love them. Anyway, thank you for that.
Oh no, but you know what I wanted to
save me probably $300.
What did you think of the bread?
Oh, you know what? I didn't eat it all.
Okay, so it was that bad.
No, it was good, but I ate it on you gave it to me for the way down.
Yeah.
And I always want to get by Montreal before I have anything to eat. You know, just mentally.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got that sitting there. You know, it's my little carrot dangling. Yeah. Liam, get by Montreal. You're on your way to Quebec City. Gonna pop that cap, and I just started eating it.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Oh, okay, good.
But then I put the cover back on and forgot all about it.
Oh, okay.
Until like Wednesday or Thursday or something.
Yeah, and then it goes bad, eh?
Yeah, well,
I mean, it was probably still good then. But
it was. I ate the rest of it then.
But there's no preservatives or anything like that.
No, but it was good.
It
was good. So thanks for that too. No, it was a nice snack. I had it around.
What kind of bread was that?
You told me.
Yeah, it was Irish soda bread.
Irish soda bread. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
with Guinness in it. So you were drinking and eating at the same time.
Nice affinity, given what you're wearing.
Well, yeah. So I'm wearing my Royal Port Rush pullover.
Jeez.
Okay? or jumper or whatever. I
Jumper.
don't know what they call it. I have fucking no idea. But yeah, I'm wearing this. So I got this when I was there. Now, just to be clear, we're not playing Royal Port Rush on this turn.
No, now they're going to
staying there.
They're going to be, I think, under construction.
No, County Down is under construction.
County Down.
Port Rush, one of the courses is going to be under refurbishment.
Right.
And then the other one, we couldn't get the right tee off time. It would have been too late. We wouldn't have gotten 18 holes.
Right.
And there's no point.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right? So there's no point doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so far ahead, yet the tee off times are taken. Like, it's such... I mean, and these are, like, believe me, the most spectacular golf courses that you'll ever play. You'll never want to go anywhere else. And I know you've been, and I know you've played Old Head, which I have.
Yeah.
And Old Head is probably my favorite of all time.
It is definitely my favorite.
Okay.
But we'll get to it in 2025.
But this is yeah, we will. We will definitely get there.
We'll do the South.
And but in the meantime, it gives me an opportunity to bring up our fabulous sponsors.
Yes.
Okay. Hosey and Brown.
Hosey and Brown
Automotive, who are helping us take our hockey pool people all the way to Northern Ireland to experience some incredible golf courses. And some nightlife and some history. And you know what I mean?
It's the perfect trip.
You know what? It's pretty close to the perfect trip.
Yeah.
The only thing missing is you can't. Is more enough days. You just don't have enough time.
No.
Right.
No. But you got to go. We're going.
That's
you
right.
set it all up. If you're watching this and just catching on to Offside with Haas and McGuire,
we still have room.
I should shoot the video, or not shoot it, but I should post it again.
You should post that video.
I have posted it, but I'll post it again. I should post it like every 6 weeks or something. You did such a good job on it. It's funny at the start, but then it shows, exactly what we're going to be doing. I don't know. Like I said, I got 2 more guys.
So we're now essentially at 8.
8. Okay.
Well, because we had other guys who unfortunately had to,
which is always the way.
It's always the way.
It's always the way.
But
so you're saying we're halfway.
We're halfway there,
and we're 11 months out. We're about
11 months. 11 months out. But we got to get it. I got to get this because I got to pay for everything by the spring.
Yeah.
So I got everything, and I am not the Bank of America or CIBC or Scotiabank. I'm none of those banks. You know what? Actually, I wish
we capped it at 12.
Well, and we may do that. You know what I mean?
It is what it is.
But
we've got 8 hardcore right now. It sounds like we do. I'd be shocked if in the next 2 or 3 months we can't line up 4 for sure. But maybe 8 more is a push.
Maybe 8 more is a push. But we'll see. Like honestly, I think it'll be a lot of fun. And you know what? Here's the thing. You don't have to come and have fun. Okay? You could stay at home, okay? Play with yourself, okay? And not enjoy the camaraderie of people in Ireland, okay? And maybe Ireland's not even their heritage, right? That's probably it.
I know, but everybody in the
world
the Irish. Either is Irish or wants to be Irish.
I would think so.
It is.
But
it's that way every March 17th.
Well, it's certainly.
Just expand it.
You know what? I'll tell you, this is true. One of Evan's teachers, profs, whatever, made a comment in class, so at the beginning of the year, about Ireland.
Oh, yeah?
Okay? So she was making a comment about this is the I don't know, on whatever, the land that we're on. Whatever they call
it.
Okay? This was like
unceded.
the unceded land of the whatever of the natives and blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then she proceeds to say that we have no right to be here, like us, like everybody. We're all caused, and that the Irish should have left after the famine was over. They should have gone back. So you know my son, right? He's got a bit of, he's not as mature and calm as I am.
Oh, no. Yeah, and you're the poster boy for that.
So anyhow, he came home, he was fuming. He goes, but you can't say anything because this is the person who's marking you, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that there are people out there who don't like Irish. Like, no dogs are Irish.
Most of the English, probably.
Well, true, but the way things are, I can't get over that, and it drives me nuts. Being of Irish descent, and always having that as, when I told you this story before, when I found out with my DNA that I was only 40% Irish, it was fucking devastating. It was like I was in a depression for months.
Just drink your way out of it.
Well, it's exactly.
You're depressed?
Yeah.
Just get a case of beer and start hammering them back, throw in a couple whiskeys and a double rum, you'll be fine.
Well, there you go.
You won't be depressed.
All right, we should talk about something. What is this show about? Right, hockey. We should talk about hockey. All right. So first things first, in all the things we're going to talk about is So what's the story? We're talking about veterans leaving their hockey teams for sometimes maybe you beat your wife. Okay, you got to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's up with Corey Perry? What's the story? Do you have any?
No,
any insight?
I don't. And I put that down again, much like I did, or we did when the Shane Pinto thing happened, or some of these other issues that have come up in the NHL. And you got to give it a cursory mention. When all I want to say is this: is that the agent who responded the day after Chicago made their statement and said it's personal matter, and respect Corey's privacy, and he's stepping away and whatnot. I mean, I sit here and speculate. It could be one of
it could
eight
be,
or 10 different.
He's
things,
got
right?
you know what? He's of the age where he's probably got a teenage kid, right?
Yeah.
It could could be related to his children.
Yeah.
Right, and them needing more of
family,
his personal attention.
Could be health, could be legal, could be could be like related to some breach of protocol with the team, although I don't think that's the case.
No,
but,
I would doubt that myself.
Yeah,
but you know what I hope? I hope that he brings the same tenacity to whatever challenge this is.
Yeah.
That he brings every time he plays on the ice. And I mean, he's got to be like mid to late 30s now.
He was in that big vaunted 03 draft, I believe.
Okay, so
he
was
18 years old then, and that's
so as I say, he's 38, late 30s, mid to late 30s. I mean, his career, in spite of his age, is still around. And he was never.
It's actually playing okay for Chicago. Like he was,
and a great leader too, right?
Good leader, and especially with Connor there, and they played on the same line a few games and stuff, and you could see they had an affinity going. So I think if anything, Chicago themselves wouldn't have wanted that. Great coach and Luke, and you got a new general manager, Kyle Davidson. They're trying to come out from underneath all of what happened there, and then especially with the second player making the similar allegations, so it's kind of brought it to the fore, although nowhere near quite as much as when the beach things first went viral, basically. But listen, I just felt, Chris, we had to just say, look, Corey Perry, I don't know what's going on, but I wish him all the best.
Yeah.
The guy has answered the bell for Canada every single time he was asked. And, he's a Stanley Cup winner, and then he just bounced around from team to team, losing in the finals.
Well, I know, but they bring him in to add that extra grit for the playoffs, right? And he
does.
Helped them.
And he does.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to jump early to something, and we're going to go because it's becoming over the top popular. We're going to jump to our segment, Puck Bunnies.
Oh.
And we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to do Puck Bunnies, and we'll be back.
I really, 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 really like girls. Yeah, I really, 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 really like girls. I like girls. I like girls. I like girls.
This week's Puck Bunny is none other than the quintessential entertainer, the most sultry, the most seductive, the most beautiful, and talented Anne Margaret. Often referred to as the female Elvis, let me tell you, Elvis paled in comparison. If you ever saw the movie Viva Las Vegas with the two of them, you know who the star was. It was Anne Margaret. But she was more than just that. She had a likability. She had a genuine, down-to-earth, even girl next door all rolled into seductress in one. So much so that they had her as a guest spot on the Flintstones as the nanny, and she sang the most incredible lullaby to Pebbles. Hey, honestly, I was ready to marry her at that point.
Mommy? What is AT&T?
This week's Puck Bunny, Anne Margaret.
He was a skater boy, she said see you later boy. He wasn't good enough for her.
If you were a man or a young man in the 1980s, there was only one role model. A red Ferrari driving private investigator who lived in the guest house at Robin Masters' estate. None other than Tom Selleck or Thomas Magnum. We talk a lot about cool nowadays, but I can tell you, the coolest guy in the 1980s was Magnum. And to this day, we owe a debt of gratitude to Tom Selleck. And that's why he is this week's Zamboni Boy.
All right, we're back. And wow, what a segment that was. You got to love that. All right, so, and you know what? And as fair as we were with our male and female, the Zamboni Boy stood on his own. I'll tell you that one. So now we're back, and what's the next on our agenda? Okay, as we go through is yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
It was a hockey game in Philly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, we're taping this on.
This
November
is Sunday,
26th.
November 26th. Yeah, right.
Yes.
So this is Sunday.
Yes.
But this will be broadcast on Wednesday if I ever get the thing uploaded.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
But the so
0-0 tie.
0-0 time.
Yeah.
Which,
well,
it happens,
shootout.
right?
It does happen.
And so how many has there been any 0-0 ties this year?
No.
No.
This is the first one this year that I'm aware of. You know, when it happened, and then I sent you the note, I said I want to talk about it because I told you somebody messaged me and said, "Hey, Liam, I'm trying to look it up. I can't find it when it was the first one." And so I knew that I had kept track.
So is this our Ask Liam segment? We're gonna do
Well,
this?
do you want to do that
Well,
now?
we can do it. Well, we can call it. We'll just.
It's up to you.
Here's what we'll do. Yeah, we'll start.
Okay.
We'll do the bumper. Whoa, there's the. We're back. Okay, now we're back. Okay, so that I'll edit that so it'll seamless.
It'll just look perfect.
It'll just be perfect. Okay. All right. So you got a letter, someone asking you about
I got a
this.
message yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a message yesterday about an hour after the game asking me about the first 0-0 tie because Philly, you can't have ties in the NHL anymore because of overtime and the shootout. And it was tied after the overtime as well. Went to a shootout. Forrester scored for Philly. They won 1-0. You had, Sam Arison, if I'm saying his last name right, backup goalie for Philly, got the shutout. It was his second career NHL shutout. Sorokin got the shutout, made 40 saves for the Islanders. And you know, as we're talking right now, Chris, like right now, November 26th, he is the best goaltender in the NHL right
really?
now. Right now.
Statistically, or what? In your
Well,
opinion?
in my opinion, but statistically, he's right there because Omar and Swayman have shit the bed here for a couple of games, so their numbers have just come up, and Sorokin's right there. Anyway, they get a 0-0 tie. I went back and was checking my notes because I remember years ago I was writing them all down after the lockout season in 05.
Right.
The NHL came back with the new rule that there would be overtime and then a shootout, so ties were done.
Yeah.
Ties were done.
Which I hate, by the way.
We all do now. Everybody is so fed up with the shootout.
Okay,
We're
perfect.
fed up with the shootout. The overwhelming majority of legit hockey fans are fed up with the shootout. We're fed up with it. And I counted, I had written them all down in 2017, and I stopped keeping track of them. Had 41 0-0 games. That seemed like a lot.
That's a lot.
It does seem like a lot.
Yeah. When
That's from 2006 to 2017.
So at that time, you had how many teams?
Well,
30 teams. at that time.
Yeah.
30 teams at that time.
28.
28.
No, 30. Yeah, 30. That's right.
30 teams at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vegas and Seattle.
Right, and that would be, I don't know. That's a lot. I don't even know what the math is. Someone help me. But it's a lot, okay? And
a lot of teams, a lot of games, and you would expect, even though scoring, and that was still
45 games.
41.
41.
Up till 2017. Now,
Yeah.
let's say hypothetically. it's been-
Up to 27, but not just in that season.
No.
okay, I was gonna say that was a
that's
lot.
from 06 to 2017.
Okay.
41 0-0 ties. I wrote them all down.
Okay.
And then I stopped in 2017 keeping track of them.
Right.
So I don't know how many there's been since they changed the rule.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that if we're doing the Ask Liam.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so the guy asked me when was the first one. We're actually not far from the anniversary of it as well. It was December 16, 1924 in Ottawa.
In Ottawa.
Yeah.
It was at the Ottawa Senators.
It was the Ottawa Senators.
Okay.
Yeah, and their goaltender, Alec Connell, got a shutout against a team called the Hamilton Tigers, who were in the NHL at that
As
time.
opposed to the Tiger Cats.
As opposed to the Tiger Cats. It's,
Which, by the way, really? Tiger Cat? You have to say cat? But that's always been something that I...
well, their junior team in the 50s was called the Tiger Cubs.
Oh, okay, I can see that. It's a Cub.
It's a Cub.
But yeah.
That's the junior team Brian Kilray played on.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and Pat Quinn and a bunch of other guys. They were Detroit. They were affiliated with Detroit.
Okay.
So those guys had all signed C forms or B forms or A forms with the Red Wings.
There's a lot of letters, by the way.
There were a lot of letters in those days. Anyway, digress.
Yeah.
So the first 0-0 tie NHL history, December 16, 1924. Hamilton Tigers, Ottawa Senators, Jake Forbes, and Alec Connell were the goaltenders. The last tie game in NHL history, legit tie game, obviously happened the year before the lockout because the rule changed.
Right.
It was April 4, 2004. Last game of the regular season.
Boston Bruins.
No.
No.
Good guess, though. But two American teams. It was Carolina. In Florida, the Sunrise Arena.
In Florida.
Playing the Panthers. And the game ended 6-6. And they
that's the last tie.
that's the last tie game. They went to overtime, but there was no shootout. So that's where you got a tie. You got 1 point in the standings.
Well, I would say that's what they should go back to.
Yes. I think, people want to see one of a couple of changes. Either extend the 3-on-3, by a couple of minutes or as many as 5. I know.
What happened to the 4-on-4 and then go down to 3-on-3? What was the matter with 4-on-4?
Well, just wasn't enough goals. They had gotten stagnant. They felt it had gotten stagnant from the time they'd gone 4-on-4 in 99-2000, and they said let's bump it down even one more and go 3-on-3. And I think everybody in the first
what they should do?
6 or 8 years was phenomenal.
I think you'd like this. Forget that.
Just
Forget
fight?
3-on-3. Just mano a mano.
Yeah.
Just
a 3-on-3 line goal?
Or your tough guy against their tough guy. Just that would be it. That would be, and people would buy tickets for that. They'd be fucking hoping for ties. They'd be going off. They'd be there. It'd be like, again, like a prize fight.
Man, I'd be signing the Gallant boys there from Prince Edward Island, man. Brett and Alex. Holy cow. You just watch those guys scrap on. I watch them fight in the American Hockey League all day. They're just so freaking tough. But a couple more things, Chris, quickly. Last tie game, as I said, April 4, 2004 in Florida, Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina tied it up. They actually were down 6-4 at 5 minutes to go. Stahl scored 6-5. Then a guy named Brad Fast scored the last ever goal in a tied game. Now, that's the only game he ever played in the NHL.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he scored the only goal of his career in the only game he played, and it happens to be
the last game
tying goal in NHL history.
Really?
How about that?
That's that's
pretty cool.
Well,
so I think that's a good ask.
Does he know that?
Probably not.
Really?
No, he does.
We got. Oh, yeah, he does. Okay.
He does.
Right.
He does. Yeah, there's stories. If you go back, you can Because he filtered, he went back down the American Hockey League and filtered back out of pro hockey and said, hey, I'm going to be an answer to a trivia question for years. And he is.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
And here it is showing up on Haas and McGuire's offside with Haas and McGuire in 2023.
There we go. So I have another. I'm going to add on, even though we're almost, we don't want these segments to go forever. But here's another Ask Liam question. So I had, because I'm homebound, right? I'm trapped in the house.
Yeah.
And so someone came over and we were playing music and stuff, and he wanted me to ask you a question.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So so you have no prior knowledge to this, so I don't even know if you'll know the answer.
Right.
Okay. So if I stump you, then we'll just edit it out. Right. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. It's like
there's the edit line.
Why is there like a jump in the tape? Okay. So he wants to. So apparently Sidney Crosby got a hat trick this week. Okay.
Yeah.
Which brings him to the second all-time, tied for second, all-time Pittsburgh Penguin hat trick guy.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Mario is number one.
Right.
By far.
Yeah.
Who is number two?
So Sid's tied with the guy who's number two?
Sid's tied with the guy who's number two.
That's a great question. I don't know. So I would have to take as close to an educated guess as possible. There's a few names that obviously jump to the forefront. Guys like Jean Pronovo, guys like this is career, obviously,
right.
Metrics, right? Obviously, Malkin would be in the discussion.
Yager?
Yager would be in the discussion.
Pierre LaRouche?
Yager. I wouldn't say so. No, because LaRouche, he got traded to Montreal in '77, so he's only there 4 years, really.
Yeah.
Like 4 seasons.
He was going to be the savior.
He had a 50-goal season. Him and Pronovo had 50 in the same year, but I don't know who Sid is tied with. Don't edit it out.
We'll get people. Actually, we'll get people to weigh in on this. Maybe.
Well, yeah, you can do that.
We'd like some class participation marks are being offered.
Yeah, well, it's a quick.
Yeah.
You could look online and find it in 20 seconds if somebody was inclined to. But well,
we'll come back next week with the answer. The next time.
Well, you know it, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No,
you just know that Sid is tied.
That's right.
Oh, I see.
I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I wish I knew the answer. I you know what? Here's the thing. So I generally rely on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's not a trivia question, right? It's a statistic.
It's statistical. Yeah.
It's not a trivia
question. And if I
can
pronounce statistical.
Yeah. Well, it's tough.
That's
you
one
drank
of
as much as you have.
Well, listen. It's one of the things with. I think that's how they knew I had a stroke. I couldn't say statistical. Statistical. There we go.
I got to figure it's Pronovo or Malkin.
All right.
Well,
we'll check that and we'll be back
I gotta
on
think.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
All right, sounds good. Okay, well that's been Ask Liam for this week, and now we'll jump back to our regular programming right now. Okay, we're back with our regular programming. It was almost like we were just here.
Yeah.
Right. It's amazing how seamless this thing goes. So some things to talk about. I want to bring up the tone of your email. Okay.
Yeah.
So you wrote me an email saying, I want to talk about how Ottawa shit the bed.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you shit the bed. You said they blew it.
Yeah.
I'm saying they shit the bed.
Okay.
But that's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah.
Okay. And
talking about the Islander game.
The Islander game. On Friday night, I was there. I went to the game. I had someone drive me.
Yeah.
And I went to the game.
Yeah.
And sitting in great section. It was a great night. It started out,
the game
first. The game turned on the callback goal.
No question. And it was definitely offside.
It was offside, but not by much.
No, but none of them are.
I know, but
they need to maybe change that, but I don't know what the hell you do.
Well, what's the point of having a linesman if you're going to go everything upstairs?
Well, this is a reaction from the Matt Duchene goal a number of years ago when he was 9,000 feet offside, which the rule was brought into, let's make sure that this doesn't ever happen again. I mean, it made the entire league look brutal almost for a season, so they change it, and now you're getting guys millimeters and quarter
Well,
inches
exactly.
and stuff.
And
And skates
then-
in the air, so they have to change that rule. Now, if your skates in the air, but the line is there, it's a good goal. But I forget, was it Tarasenko who was over? I forget who it was. But it changed because the Islanders go back. Instead, they scored.
Yeah.
And then 6 seconds later, they score again.
And then they scored again. It was like boom, 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 3 goals.
Well, there were 4 goals in.
It was 1-1, and then it became 4-1, right?
Yeah. Well,
And then Ottawa came back.
and Ottawa scored 2.
Right,
Yeah.
like bang, bang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had 4 or 5 goals there scored in a very short period of time, and I mean, look, those some of those goals on floppy Forsberg there, they can't go in, man. They can't go in. So
Well, you know what?
You were at the game. What do you?
I was
want?
at, so there was certainly that short side goal that was, I think, the 4th goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ones,
he
and
should-
plus
he
6
should-
seconds after, Chris.
He should have had that.
Yeah.
There's no question. But he was a bit rattled and he lost his position in the net.
Okay. Yeah,
and I could see how it happens, right?
Yeah.
There was 2 of the goals. He couldn't see it.
Oh no, I'm not.
Couldn't see it.
Not singularly blaming him.
And they were snipes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, when you, or a deflection or whatever it was, like there was that one and I could see, I knew, so I'm not bragging, but I can score. I'm a scorer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I knew exactly where, and I forget whose goal it was. He came across, and then he went, as he was moving across, the goalie starts to slide, and he went back to that corner. Like, I knew before as he was moving, I said, that's going right there. It's going in.
Yeah.
And I knew, when you see it, and it boom, right where I would have put the puck. I mean, that kid obviously learned something from me.
No doubt about it. I mean, he probably saw videos from Coniston.
Exactly.
Knew it was you.
Exactly. Is that Jim Fox? No, it's Chris Haas. Oh. That's the hard part. When you grow up in the shadow of like great hockey players,
A guy like Jimmy especially.
Jimmy Fox, Randy Boyd too. Eh?
Randy Boyd,
he was a
tough player.
and strong. You know what? And
Tough
here's
player.
the thing. And a nice guy though.
Yeah.
He's
Only
such
met
a
him
nice
once.
kid.
Only met him once.
He was a very nice guy to me. He's like I told you, both those guys played with my brother.
Yeah,
right?
which is cool. I think that's very cool.
They're a few years older than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, Randy was outstanding here as a 67.
Oh yeah.
And,
he was.
Killer loved him. And
Yeah.
the fans loved him. And Jimmy Fox, obviously, as well. Ottawa 67.
Well, Jimmy
played on
Fox-
one of the greatest lines.
Well, here's the thing.
Simpson, Jolly, and Fox.
That's right. And then, so Chris Vino is also a Coniston boy.
There you go.
Chris Vino.
Yeah.
So
Randy. Pipeline.
So this is the thing. So Chris Vino, Randy Boyd, Jimmy Fox, and my brother all in the same. I keep saying I'm going to get
Jesus.
that picture out.
Yeah,
okay?
get it.
I
Get
got
it.
to
Find
find
it.
it somewhere.
Find
it's in Kristen Chronicles. She has she organizes
Yeah.
everything. I just show up as a general rule, and she takes care of everything, which makes it difficult when she's not around. So, and I will admit that I may not be the most attentive husband in the world, and there's things
come on.
that I could do. There are things that I could do better as a husband.
Sean.
Not lovemaking. I'm a great lovemaker.
No.
We
I
know
know.
I'm great at that.
I've seen the records.
It says, well, I print them.
Nobody quicker.
Yeah, there's no one quicker. There's no one quicker. No, here's the thing. I'm the little engine that could.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, I think I can, and so I do. I am willing to work hard. I'm willing to go extra innings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go
Overtime, yeah.
Over in the corners,
Yeah.
working hard in the corners.
Up and down your wing, old Adams Division hockey.
Oh, cycling down low.
Yeah.
I like to cycle down low.
You do, eh?
I do like to cycle down low. But the point is that
my
I
God.
put in the effort, and people see that. People
Yeah.
see the effort.
Well, they notice that.
Absolutely, they do. They do. But without her doing all the other things in life, it would make my life very difficult.
I hear you, buddy. You married a great lady. She's
I did. I'm
awesome.
very lucky.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Okay, so let's talk about something. So Ottawa didn't play. My assessment of the whole game fell apart. Defensively, they run around in their end too much. There's a lot of, I don't know what it is. It's just, and I don't want to say it's undisciplined, but it just doesn't seem like they have a game plan or a structure that they're following in their own end.
This is why DJ and the staff continue to take a lot of heat on social media. I mean, Chris, they just cannot really afford any more runs of 500 hockey. They've got to increase up to about minimal 650 clip, if not 700. You're very quickly here at the quarter pole. They're not yet. They're 4 games shy. So, and their schedule is about to get crazy. I mean, they got by the time this airs, they'll have played Florida.
That's tomorrow,
which is Monday's game.
Monday night. Yeah,
and I mean, you know. It's not obviously a must win, but these games are becoming must wins. Like, you're 7 points out. You've got games in hand on the world, but they mean nothing unless you get W's.
Right.
You got to get W's here, and it's not just the fact they're 7 points out. You got 6 teams between them. I mean, you know who's holding down 8th right now? Like the last wild card spot right now, as we're taping this, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs are in the last wild card spot right now.
But here's the thing. The Leafs should be higher.
They should be. And you know something? Like, everyone knows I watch all the games. And I wonder. I'm almost starting to wonder. It's a little bit, I wonder if they're playing possum a little bit. Like, they just seem to be doing enough. They're losing to teams they should not be losing to. How do they lose to Chicago? But you see, Nylander goes in on the... Yeah, they lost last night.
And they shouldn't have lost last night.
They shouldn't have lost last night, and they shouldn't have lost to Chicago. I mean, Nylander goes in, and he hits the post across the post on that break.
Oh, my God.
It's freaking believable. Unbelievable. But yeah.
But he did win a bear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he got something, parting gift there, a big stuffed bear.
Big stuffed
and
bear.
you know, like Pittsburgh is just hanging on for life. I mean, the Metropolitan Division is absolutely insane right now. You got 4
Rangers.
points. Well, the Rangers a big win against your Bruins, and they're up to 31 points. But Chris, teams 2 to 7 are separated by 4 points right now.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Now, I mean, you know, it's relatively still early. Everyone's just getting to the 20 game mark, but. That's crazy tight, and it just goes to show you how any game you can scratch and claw and get a point. These are 3-point games, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing Ottawa has to overcome now. You're 7 points out with games in hand. Your schedule's about to get crazy. You're going to be playing the majority on the road in December. Not an easy month usually to begin with.
Right.
And here we go. So, you know, what looked like kind of maybe potentially a dream season for the team has been derailed with all this stuff that happened. You didn't feel that.
I never felt it was going to be a dream season. Did you?
Well,
really?
I didn't dream season, but a playoff team.
Yeah.
Definitely a playoff
I gotta
team.
tell you
Did you not think they were going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I thought they'd be close.
Close?
I honestly. Well, here's the thing.
Now, they were 6 points out last year.
I know, but again, they always seem to have to make up that ground. Like they've been for the last, I don't know how.
No, but eventually teams make it up. New Jersey made it up last year, right? I mean, that was abnormal. It was a 40-plus point improvement. It just rarely happens.
Right.
It's only like 4 teams in NHL history. And you know, you look at them this year. You lose Hughes, you lose Heischer, and they nosedive. Now you get Heischer back in the lineup. They got a big win against Buffalo yesterday. Somebody stepped in, fought Clifton, which was the right thing to do. It wasn't much of a fight. It was the point of it all. It's a team that, you know, and watch, they're out of the playoffs right now. The playoffs start today. New Jersey's out. And you turn the clock back before those guys got hurt. They're leading the friggin' division.
Right.
So, you know.
Well, but that's just and you know, you see it in a lot of teams. Like your favorite guy, not favorite guy, but you like Jackoff, right?
Jack-eye.
Jack-eye. Sorry.
Or as you correctly say it, Chakai.
Is that how it is?
That's how you properly say it.
Okay.
Arbors Chakai.
Arbors Chakai
is my current favorite NHL player. I cannot wait for him to get back in the lineup. Concerned about the shoulder injuries, definitely.
I call that poor bastard by his bad name. I love making fun of people's names, right?
Sure.
So I call him Jackoff.
You think what is it, legitimately, what do you think it is with the sentence?
You know what?
I mean, look, goaltending's a factor. You can't say it's not. The goaltending has sucked.
Well, you know what? No,
they've had a half dozen good
Corpus
games.
Christi. I like Corpus Christi. Okay.
They make good cookies.
Okay. Corpusalo, I think he's a good hockey.
And now he's hurt again.
Well, this is the thing, right? So you need to
Yeah,
have
Forsberg or Solgaard or Solmard or whatever his name is.
Yeah, we don't. Well,
Yeah.
so I mean, we were so good for so long with our goaltending, but we had no players. Now we don't have goaltending, but we have players.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you had a couple good runs, right? I mean, it's different. Like 2017, they had the aberration, just like Montreal did in 2021. You've got these, and they're not the only teams that have had that happen.
Right.
Many teams have had that happen. It's just that it happened to Ottawa,
Yeah.
and 4 years later, it happened to Montreal. So for whatever reason, they did things, they won things. Doesn't matter. Boston were missing 6D. You beat them. You beat the Rangers, who would knock out the Habs or whatever, and then you end up in a knockdown, drag them out, best of 7, goes double overtime against Pittsburgh, who go on to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Unfortunately, that's the last time Ottawa was in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. But that being said,
It's death by 1,000 cuts right now, I think.
well, you know what? They're there, and there's flashes. The flashes.
The
of greatness.
flashes. Well, this is why I picked them to make the playoffs. First of all, no one expected this with Pinto. So you lose your number 2 center.
Right.
It's just not easy. I
But
mean,
he'll be back in January.
yeah, allegedly.
if he
Yeah.
signs.
So he's gonna. He
So
probably.
who are
Everyone
we-
expects he's going to sign an NHL minimum contract. To get back in the lineup and play, and then they'll figure something out down the road.
Oh, is that
Maybe
right?
that's what everybody. I don't know, but that's the
Fuck, that would
speculation.
be great.
Well,
That'd be great for the Senators.
Well, they have no choice. It's either
But
that or they're not going to get the guy
He
signed.
can make the money back on endorsements for the betting.
Sure.
Betting apps.
Yeah, I mean, him coming back will be a massive addition. I mean, what a great pickup it would be. I mean, he'll certainly be welcomed back with open arms. But I mean, it's death by 1,000 cuts. The defense has not been good enough game in and game out.
Yeah.
They are not playing well enough in their own zone. The goaltending has let them down. They are one of the top scoring teams in the league, but just in the last few games, when you really need a goal, at times when Ottawa has almost always counted to get one. You look when they pulled the goalie there against the Islanders, and the chances that they had. Okay, they didn't score. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Oh.
It's just part and parcel. But at the end of the day, Chris, they're 7 points out, all these games in hand, and they got 6 teams to jump to get right now to the last wild card spot. American Thanksgiving ends today. This is the first marking point of the season.
Yeah.
And 91 or 2% of the teams that are currently in a playoff spot are in. Now, the thing is, Ottawa has got a plus goal differential of 6 right now, yet they're down there. That's definitely a good mark to have.
Yeah.
And their record is 500. But they've played so few games.
Well, so that therein lies, right? So they have roughly 4 games in hand, right?
Yeah, pretty 3 to 4 on
3 to
every
4.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say
Some
they have
teams 2, but 3 to 4.
Okay. Let's just let's say they win those games.
Yeah.
Then they're done. Like they're in.
Well,
So,
they wouldn't be, but this is the point of it all. It's not just that you've got to win 4 games because everyone else is still playing too. You're going to make that up between now and April.
Right. Right.
It's
But you got to win those
it's
games.
the run you've got to go on. You are now forced out, say, these next 10 game segments as soon as they hit whatever.
Yeah.
Start it now. It starts tomorrow against Florida. You've got to go on 7-2-1 records, where that one is you're losing, but you're getting that loser point.
Yeah.
Because everybody else and their brother is picking them up
picking
too.
up the points, yeah.
So, that's the thing.
Yeah,
with
no, I agree. No, I
three-point
agree. I
game.
think that would be
This is not what I expected. I am actually. I just really think that their number one detriment right now has been their goaltending. That, in my opinion, 16 games in, Chris, their number one detriment to me has been their goaltending. How they won those 3 games, they didn't look good in any of those games. They didn't look good in either of those games in Sweden. Did you think so?
I wouldn't say that they look right. I only saw one.
didn't look
I only
good
saw one game in Sweden. I missed the timing on the other one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know what? I didn't think they were bad. I got to tell you though,
Oh.
I've seen
They were lucky.
Corpusalo, whatever.
Yeah.
Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi. I've seen him play really well this season. And you know
some
what?
good games.
And so I like to give it that. And a couple times where he actually stole the game and the team played like shit, right?
Yeah.
You know,
well, there hasn't been many of those.
I mean,
but they just
my concern
they can
is
score, man. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the league.
in their zone.
Power play?
In their zone, they just, I don't know if it's bad luck. I don't know, whatever. They just seem to be all there. And the bounces aren't going their way in their own zone. Now, some would argue you make that happen, right?
Bounces even out, and certainly can never be an excuse. Their defensive overall. I mean, and look, Jake Sanderson's a stud, but it's not like he's Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes.
No, speaking with Makar, by the way.
Yeah.
So he just
Very quickly, hasn't he? Like everyone's just does. Hughes is leading the league in scoring, and everyone's talking, oh my God. And now here's Makar, he's 3 points back of him.
defenseman,
Right? Both of them.
defenseman.
Yeah, both defensemen.
Yeah. And
So-
so Makar, the fastest defenseman to 200 points. Is that what it was? Is that the record? He beat Bobby Orr's record.
I didn't hear that stat actually.
Yeah.
I
Bobby Orr
I
had
didn't
the
hear it.
previous record of a defense fastest to X amount of points.
Okay.
Okay, and
Yeah.
he has just surpassed it.
Did he?
Yeah, in number
Okay.
of games. I forget exactly how many.
Yeah,
games, but-
these guys are setting or matching statistical marks. Like Makar just set the one for Colorado, the
Right.
team record for the fastest to 30 points as a defenseman. And
Well, I can tell you this: the fastest. You know what he did last night? He jumps and he's in the play. He makes he literally almost scores. Doesn't score though.
yeah, well, it was scary last night.
Then he gets back. Did you see the game?
Yeah, I watched the game. Yeah,
And then he got back and he
Yeah.
made a play at the blue line to defend.
yeah.
That was Bobby Orr like.
I actually, to be honest, I was slipping between the Calgary game and the Vancouver game.
Okay.
So I didn't see everything of both games, but obviously I'm flipping from Makar to Hughes, and
Yeah.
the top two defensemen in the NHL right now. I just find it kind of funny. Makar has had a November that almost nobody's had in NHL history. So now it's propelled him up right in behind Hughes, and of course they're chasing Kucherov, who just lit it up
Right.
this week as well. Had a big week.
So my question is this contract years for them? Because I know that's happening in Toronto right now. Okay.
Well, with Nylander, yeah.
Nylander's
yeah.
got a contract. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
Nylander's fucking playing.
No, I think
lights
those
out.
guys are under contract, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, they're not playing. I used to call that the Shane Corson. Boy, the guy. You ever want to look on Shane Corson's record when the years he had good years, or years when
Playing for the
he
contract.
needed to get another deal.
Yeah.
Not to say he wasn't effective in his prime, because he certainly was, but he did seem to play with a little bit more motivation
Yeah.
at times. But I guess we're kind of all over the map. But
Yeah.
I just think that I called Ottawa to make the playoffs. I'm shocked where they are, but understanding, of course, and you just made the point 5 minutes ago, win these games in hand and you're up in the mix.
Yeah.
So problem is the time it's going to take to play those games
Right.
over the next 3 to 4 weeks, and instead of being 4 games in hand, it'll be more like 2.
Right. No. But
and like
the
that.
goal is that
You've got to win.
You got to win your next 4
You
games.
got to go 7-2-1
Yeah, I
in
know, I
blocks
would-
of 10 here. To get up. I mean, it's
And some would argue you got to win one game at a time. Just
It's-
win one game.
Yeah, I don't know who ever
Just
said that.
Got to just win our next
It's
game.
just the smartest thing ever.
Right?
Yeah,
It is. You just got to win one game.
like I mean,
And again. and
remember
again.
that time someone tried to win 2 games at once?
That's right. Exactly. All right. Okay. So another interesting tidbit of information, okay, is and we had briefly talked about the 0-0 tie yesterday.
Yeah.
But it was also a celebration of the 1,000th game
Oh.
of Clusterfuck. I mean Clutterbuck.
Yeah, everybody's favorite. That is
I-
a hell of a fourth line on the Islanders. As they've tried to get themselves back to respectability.
He's a Bob Nystrom. I always think of him as Bob Nystrom.
Without the talent. I mean, he doesn't score like Bobby. I mean, Bobby was a 20-goal scorer. In fact, he had 30 in a
Yeah.
season. Clutterbuck
But did you
couldn't
think
carry
Nystrom-
Nystrom's job.
yeah, really? Oh,
Plus,
okay.
Nystrom could actually fight. Clutterbuck is physical.
Yeah.
He's physical and he will drop the gloves. But Bobby Nystrom, none of us really knew until the hockey fight videos came out. when they
Because
came out.
we never got to watch all that.
Well, unless they played, like, I mean, when Nystrom beat the crap out of Jimmy Crack Corn there on Hockey Night in Canada in 81 or 82, I mean, you just...
I don't care, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, Bobby's fights, you know, those brawls against Boston and his fight against Wensink and everything, we just never saw them.
Yeah.
Until those videos came out and just saw just how unbelievable he was, how unbelievable Mel Bridgman was, how unbelievable some of these guys were that you just rarely saw. Like the Randy Holt incident on March 11th, 1979, LA against Philadelphia, and that particular brawl, and Holt's fights in it. Another Northern Ontario boy, by the way.
Is he? I don't know that.
Where's
he from?
Randy Holt is, he's Sudbury boy.
Really?
I think so. Randy and his brother Gary, they're Northern Ontario guys. But we didn't see those, you know?
Yeah.
And our Canadian TV highlights that were being shown at the time weren't giving us, you may see a snippet of something. When those hockey fight videos came out, there was the guy who was nicknamed the Godfather in New Jersey, and he started advertising in the hockey news in 1984 that he had hockey fight videos. I bought 3 or 4, and they were mailed to me. And I didn't have a car at the time. I was driving my parents' vehicle, one of them. It was the middle of winter, dead of winter. I lived on the Cars Road. I had to go into Manotick to rent a VCR to play these tapes, okay? And I drove...
Top launch?
Top launch VCR. Put it in, put her down. I drove so fast and so recklessly and raced into Manotick that I drove off the road on Century Road. I hit a icy patch and I went off the road. I was so pissed off.
And that was the first of many times.
Yes, or maybe not the first, but it certainly was one of the many times. And I had to go back to the house there. The guy had to get his tractor, pulled me out, delayed me like 40 minutes. I go in, I get the VCR, I come home, I put the tapes in. I was, you never seen a guy so excited. I watched every single solitary. I bought like probably 8 to 10 hours of hockey fights. The guy had put them all together, edited them all together. So what we did was we ran a night at the Manotick Arena.
Okay.
And I printed up a program, and what we did was, are we past the statute of limitations? Can I get charged for anything I'm about to say?
You know what? Here's the thing. First of all, they have to be watching.
True.
Okay.
You know, we made up a name of a fake team.
Okay.
You know, and that was our charitable organization.
You do what you have to do.
That's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
We needed the money to drink at happy hour at the Legion on Fridays. Pints for 75 cents a pint. It's expensive.
And listen, the Legion was your charity.
It was. It benefited from us many.
I miss the old Legion.
So we all do.
You know,
we all do.
The new one is, you know what? It has no soul.
They did their best, and
they did their best with what the insurance company was able.
Well,
to
there
do
was the infighting is what killed it, in my opinion. The first company then got shut down, and during construction, and then you end up we got to get it done, and then I don't know all the infrastructure. You probably do know more than I do, but I
knew it from that.
Well, 1,000% agree with you that it is nowhere near has the same feel. When you used to go in before, the old one, first of all, that Harmony Hall was Harmony Hall. And, you just go downstairs, and Patty was working the bar, and Cliff G, and Dougie Brennan, and Howard Paul, and Howard Cameron, all the guys that were there, and some of the ladies, and then the pool tables, and you go around the corner, 75 cents a pint, and you just load her up, and you play some stick and decide where you're going to go that night. And it was just the best. It was the best. And it was a separate, you signed the book. It was just the greatest. And now, you're right. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that when you go in, and they're doing their best.
They are. And you know what? And I was
just there, November 11th. I go to the Legion. After the cenotaph, I always go. And I'm honored to. I just it'll never be the same. It's just
you know what, and that's so I grew up literally. I grew up. The church was here, the Ukrainian church.
Yeah.
Okay, and our house was here.
Yeah.
And directly across the street from the Ukrainian church was the Legion.
Okay.
So, but if you were in my backyard, you could see the Legion, and we used to take our pellet guns and shoot the targets on the Legion. We would line it up. small town class. Okay,
So
that's
you
what we
roll,
do.
man.
Well, because they were closed during the day, right?
Yeah.
So we were able to. That was our thing. And I'm a huge. I owe my whole career to the Legion.
Really?
Haven't I told you this? While we're filming, I'll tell the story. So the Royal Canadian Legion had the public speaking contest.
Yeah.
Okay, they used to do, and I told you my family, like me and my sisters and my brother, we won every year.
Yeah,
The whole
yes.
slew of things.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was all because of the Legion. The Legion ran that contest. We did it at the school, but they ran, and they literally, it was $100 is what I would win.
Man.
Back then.
Wow.
That was a lot of money.
Wow.
$100 from the Legion.
Wow.
To I think my dad went and reinvested it.
I'd buy like 724s back then.
Well, I was too young, right? Yeah. Listen. The only time I could drink when I was a kid was when my dad quit drinking, because then he wouldn't bother pouring the beer out, right? Because he knew he was going to go back at it.
Right.
Okay. He would bury it, and then we would go and dig it up.
Nice.
Okay. So he would go dig up the beer. Okay, and then he'd go and he'd see him digging in the garden. Like he was trying to find where he had buried the beer. I'm sure it was here, and I'm sure he figured out eventually that we used to just dig it up.
Yeah.
You know, I turned around and blamed it on the Prossers. They did it. It was.
God, I hope
They do.
Hope one of them watches.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah. You know what? Well, do you know what? Dash Prosser was an incredible man. He was his wife passed away when we were kids.
Yeah.
And he had to raise the whole family himself. But he drove the snow plow and he drove the big things. And so he used to pile the snow up for us so we could build snow forts. And,
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. You know what?
That's a great neighbor.
Oh, great, Nate. You know what? We had the greatest place to grow up in the world. Like, honestly, I can't.
I feel the same way, Chris.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
about the first line.
you know,
I don't regret a single second.
And
of all
I
the
think
years
about
we
it
were
now.
there.
Even I live in this,
Beautiful home.
house
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean? That I could never have imagined when I was a kid.
Yeah.
If someone had said this is where you're going to live, I would have gone, oh my god. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like, okay, but you know what? But my kids and even I look at my grandkids, they're not going to have that same experience. The community that we had.
Yeah.
Growing
That's
up.
reflective of the era,
Yeah.
too. Not
It
just
is.
because
Well,
we grew up in a smaller,
No, yeah,
rather
exactly.
than downtown.
And I was,
you know,
I was thinking about this because it is Remembrance Day, and I think about it because a lot of the fathers that were my friends' fathers, my dad was just a little bit too young to fight. My uncles did,
Yeah.
but my dad was too young to fight in World War II.
yeah,
But a lot of the fathers had fought in World War II,
Yeah.
and it was a big. But when they came home, their families became, and the new dream of living in peace and making life better for your kids and all of that stuff was the most important thing to these men. I know these were the examples that, you know what I mean? And I think we've had so many years of prosperity and without, not without conflict, but without the major impact conflict that the World War was at the time, that people forget that, and they've forgotten that sense of community. Because I look back now and I see, and I know you are a supporter, but I look at the Legion, and I was in the Legion in Barhaven.
yeah.
And it's not the same. It's not the same vibe.
No,
It's not the same vibe, and I feel bad about that. And I don't know that even a lot of veterans now, okay, and retired military personnel are going to the Legion and using the Legion as the community center that it was. Like when I was a kid, that was like a community center. I mean, you know what I mean? And it was one of the many. It was actually the last stop on my dad's drinking trip.
was it?
He started off on one of the curling club, okay?
Yeah.
Then he'd make it to the Colonial, okay, Colonial Inn. Then he would go to the Club Allegri, okay? Then the Elks, then
Nice.
the Legion, and then
Nice.
home. That was the Saturday tour,
That's pretty good.
okay?
One.
Oh,
That's
you
pretty
know
good
what?
tour.
And so on our street, so Clarence Fox,
Yeah.
Vic Boyd, my
Yeah.
dad. They
Yeah.
were together quite a lot. And then there were others, but that was the three. And that's where they would do it. They would start. Now, sometimes they skip the curling rink,
Yeah.
okay, and go directly to the Colonial. Because it was close to the ball.
Eliminate the middleman.
You know what I mean? Well, you know, but really and truly, they had there was a lot of stuff. And then before it was the Elks Hall, it was the Mine Mill Hall.
Okay.
Prior to that. But
Yeah.
anyways, I digress. All I'm saying is that...
I miss the old Legion too.
Yeah,
I miss the
you
old
miss the
Legion in
Legion.
Manitic. But I encourage anybody who watches this that has an opportunity, support your local Legion.
Yeah.
And I think it's critically important. A number of them have closed.
And that's sad.
During
Yeah.
COVID. I don't know how many. I don't know what the stats are. But, you know, at any rate. And the entire head office for all the Canadian Legions is here in Ottawa.
Canada.
It's in Canada.
Yeah.
It's where I went to pick up my hat, the lest we forget. I ordered it online, not online, but I got hooked up on Twitter through Dean Brown,
Right.
who longtime play-by-play voice, the
Yeah.
Ottawa Senators, who bought one, posted it. I said, "Where'd you get that?" Went on, got it, phoned, and they were going to mail it out. I found out they were in Canada, and I'd never been there to the head office before.
You've never been to Canada?
I've been to Canada once. Well, we won't talk about that incident.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a,
Never been to the
there's a
Legion head
reason there's a
office.
police station beside the,
That's right.
Canadian Tire Center now.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Anyway, support your Legion.
yeah, absolutely.
Not sure how we got onto that, but
Well,
it's,
you know what? And the other thing is don't take drugs, kids.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
your Danny and Caddyshack.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, what else we got here? Yeah, I don't want to talk about the Bruins. Why did you bring that up?
I just felt it was appropriate.
So the Bruins lose two in a row. I mean,
Well,
listen,
12 goals in 2 games.
you
The
know,
sky's falling
I mean-
in Boston. You see Monty on the bench. He was losing his mind. All of a sudden, a little of adversity, God forbid. And the Rangers, you know, I mean, there's a half dozen teams right now that look really legit. LA,
Yeah.
you know, have won 5 in a row. They played their back up against the Habs yesterday. Copley, they're looking good. Obviously, the Rangers, who beat the Bruins and scored 7 on them. First time over 400 days since Boston's given up 7 goals. And ironically, the last team to score 7 against Boston was Ottawa.
Really? Eh?
Yeah, it was the Ottawa Senators. So, you know, it rarely happens for this particular group of Bruins, and I think everybody is expecting the other skate to fall here without Bergeron and Krejci, and they've just kept rolling, Chris, your team.
Well, you know what?
now they've hit a little skid mark here, so let's see what happens this week.
You know what? It's what I call it. I call it that you gotta have a little. You gotta have a lull.
Well, let me put it to you this way: would you trade
No.
10 wins and 20 points to go into at least the second or third round or Stanley Cup final last year?
No.
And you'd rather have the NHL record lose in the
No.
first round?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you would gladly.
Absolutely. But they were exhausted by that point too.
Well, I think.
I think
This
now
is why I said earlier what I said about
with
the
Toronto.
Leafs.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I watch all the games, and I want the media reaction after is, Jesus, they're floating against these crap teams, and they're losing. They're giving up points. They're barely in a playoff spot.
But you don't want.
I
here's the
just
thing,
think
you don't
they
have
can
to
turn it on. This team right now with that.
But you know
offense.
what? You know what? And you're absolutely right. I think they can. I think they've got what it takes. And even though I don't
Like,
like
to be
Toronto,
a playoff team.
you know,
I'm not saying they're a cup threat. They're not in that upper tier where the Rangers and the Bruins and the Kings.
Yeah, but
and,
you know what? But
now Vegas is
they're
Vegas lost to Arizona yesterday,
You know what?
Chris, 2-0.
Toronto's 2 players out of being a cup.
Well, I know, but they never get those 2 players. They never get that extra defenseman to help Riley. They like that can really have an impact on playoff time. You know, Ryan Reeves finally gets back in the lineup, scores a goal, but they still lose the game. You know, I mean,
But it's going to be, you know what? I guess you can't factor anybody out. They just want to be in the mix. Okay? And
is
you
there a
can't
better example of that than Florida last year?
Right. Well, exactly.
92
they want
points.
To be, they want to be in the mix,
Yeah.
and they want, and we don't know what's going to happen when it comes down to rental season. That's what I call the last,
Yeah.
the last trade
Deadline? Yeah.
Okay, rental season.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot you can do, right?
Not really, because salary cap. I mean, you can do a
can
little
play.
bit more
You can
because most of
play.
the season is done.
Right.
But if
most
these
of the season's
guys,
done, but then you know what? You have a couple of people that have to go on injured reserve.
depends what their AVV is. This is the
Right.
thing, and it's very rare, almost impossible these days to take money on without putting money out.
Right.
So
But
somebody's
if
got to go
someone's got to go or get hurt.
or get hurt.
And then, oh my God, they're better.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Or get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, these things happen, right?
Air
Like,
quotes for those of you
air
listening
quotes.
on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
If I'm a GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm going to listen. Tavares, you need a rest. Okay.
Yeah.
You're a big ticket number. Okay. You're going down in the third. It'll be like a fixed fight. You're going down in the third period. You're going off. It's going to be an undisclosed injury and high ankle sprain. And then, oh, look at it, so much better. Fucking right. Like, honest to God, you're going on injured reserve, and we're not even going to put in an insurance claim.
We'll see.
You know, that's what I would do. But then again, you know, I'm a criminal mind.
It's not a bad way to think sometimes. I mean, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. If you're not pulling off Tampa Bay, who were 16, 17 million over the cap when they won the Cup in 2021. Kucherov returns miraculously.
Yeah.
You know, and this type of thing that's gone on the last half dozen years or so. I mean, Chicago were kind of the first to do it. They were only 5 million over when they won. I think it was the 2013 Cup, but I mean, look,
so then
it's
the question
available
is
to
this.
you.
So the question is this then: is the cap effective?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you can say yes because it governs teams how they play during the regular season. Like, it's all well and good for, say, a Tampa to do those moves because they were so strong. And maybe you can make a similar case with Toronto. Maybe not right now, but this is coming up to the 20-game mark. Let's see at the 40-game mark. And if the Leafs are comfortably in a wild card spot or just outside the third spot in the Atlantic, then, you know, it gives you a little latitude to maybe go to a Tavares or somebody and say, geez, that's bad news about that sprained knee.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see you April 14th.
That's right.
You're going on long-term injury.
Exactly. You should get some sun.
Yes, exactly.
You should
Exactly.
get some sun. And, you know, I mean, and it rests the guy, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, he can come back and skate.
You know, the first team ever to do that was the Montreal Canadiens in the 1950s.
Really?
They took Rocket out of the lineup a couple times, and they would send him to Florida. They sent
like vacation
for a weekend. You know, you're not going to play these 2 games. We're going to give you a couple games off. Go down, just rest, relax. We know we've got the playoffs coming up. You're going to have to be at your psychotic best. And so go down to Florida, and they would send him down.
Really?
You know, yeah.
Would he take a train then, or would he have to fly? Like,
No,
they fly?
they fly him. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, mid-50s airplanes.
Yeah, I don't know. See all this stuff that like kind of, you know.
Oh, they flew him down, and he disappeared for like a week, and he'd miss a couple games. And you know, it was 70-game schedule in those days, and he'd miss a couple games.
No, it wasn't 70 then.
Yeah, it was 70.
I thought it was only 50 then.
No.
When did they change from 50?
It went from 50 to 60 to 70.
Okay,
So it went to 70 in 1950. 1950, it went to 70 games.
Really?
It's a long time ago. It surprises people. I know.
Yeah.
It was 70 games throughout the entire decade of the 1950s.
Wow, and it was only 72 games while we were growing up.
Well, no, it only was 72 for 1 year.
Oh.
They went from, I don't even think it was 72. I think it was
was
70 to 74 to 76.
Oh, maybe 74 was I was
Or
thinking.
78 and then 80. 74, 75, it went to 80 games.
Yeah.
In
That's
74,
way too many
75.
games, by the way.
So it went it between the modern expansion in 67, Buffalo, Vancouver 70, Atlanta Islanders 72. Between those 67 and 72, it went from 70 games to 78 games. And then it went to 80 games in 1974 because Phil Esposito scored his 76-goal season in 1971. The Bruins played 78 games. So we got 76 goals in 78 games in 1971. It's unbelievable when you think about it. I know, you know, Wayne and Mario and Brett all beat that, you know, and McGillney and Solani tied it. It's still
So who are we talking about again?
Phil Esposito, your man, Phil Esposito, Northern Ontario boy.
Yep, Sault Ste. Marie.
Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, you know what they say about people from the Sioux?
Yeah.
Either whores or hockey players.
That's right. So they say about your mom, what position did she play?
Exactly. But I did grow up, and you know what? You get some of your.
You grew up?
I did. Okay. You know what?
I'm stealing your line.
Again, hurtful. hurting. You've triggered me.
Sorry, buddy.
You're triggering me.
Sorry, my friend.
All right. Do you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to cut to this week in hockey history.
Hello, Canada.
Lafleur coming out rather gingerly. Back to Lafleur.
Shoots. He scores!
All right. As we said at the top of the show, it is November the 26th.
Yeah.
So this week in hockey history, we're talking November 26th through to like later. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's November 30th is the end of the month, and then there's a couple of days after.
Well, I'm even wondering if I think technically, probably the week, because this is airing on Wednesday and it's supposed to be the 27th, probably through to the Sunday. So we're kind of cheating and putting this one in the last week's show. A little bit.
Well, you know what? We didn't have, we had a problem with filming. You know, I had my thing, you had your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're doing the best we can. So let's talk about this
But
day.
we gotta mention
let's talk about this day.
Well, we're taping today on the 26th.
The 26th.
And
So what's the deal?
Well, it's the NHL was formed.
It was formed today.
Formed on this day in 1917. So, what's that? 106 years ago. So, I mean, it's. I think it's remarkable that as things unfolded for you and I in the last 7 days, we decided, well, I got to get a show in because I'm flying out to New Brunswick tomorrow,
which I can't go to. By the way,
Chris was going to come and join us, and we were going to do an offside.
Yeah, and we're going to do some interviews. We'll talk about that.
Interviews,
but we're gonna.
But that's okay. We've got, we're going to be in Nova Scotia at the end of January. We're going to be in Newfoundland in February, and possibly Alaska in March. So we've got lots going on with the NHL hockey legends. But on this day in hockey history, November 26, 1917, after 3 days of deliberation, the ownership group of the teams that were in the National Hockey Association, the forerunner of the NHL, they shut the league down for one reason and one reason only.
The war.
No. They wanted to get rid of the Toronto owner.
Well, fuck, that hasn't happened again.
I know, right? The more things change, folks.
So who was the Toronto owner?
His name was Eddie Livingston.
Okay. And they didn't like
I presume.
Eddie Livingston, you presume.
Eddie Livingston.
Were you waiting for me?
I was waiting for you.
Oh,
I figured he's going to pick up on it.
Yeah.
He's going to pick up on it.
And you know what? Sorry. I
that's
I
okay,
let you
man.
down.
That's okay. That's okay. There'll be other opportunities, I'm sure, and you'll be right on point.
Okay.
But they hated this guy. I can't bore you with all the details, but suffice to say, they wanted him to just take his puck and go. You know, just get out.
Yeah.
Just get out. And he said, I'm not going anywhere, and you can't legally get me out. I'm staying. I'm part of the league. I got a team. So basically, fuck you guys.
Right.
And they said, oh, is that right? So they sat around and said, what are we going to do? And
so they sat around without him there.
Without him there.
Okay.
At the Windsor Hotel.
Okay.
In Montreal.
For
3 days.
3 days.
24, 25, 26.
Yeah.
And Frank Calder was the acting secretary for the National Hockey Association. Yeah. And he said, let's just dissolve the league and start a new league. We'll dissolve it. That way he legally has no grounds to stand on. And we'll start a new league. And they said, Eddie, see ya. You want the NHA? You got it. Go out and get your own team, start your own league, do whatever.
And did he do that?
That he did not.
He did not.
He tried to fight them, obviously lost, because they were fully within their rights.
So what team was the Toronto team?
So they were, very original name.
Yeah.
Okay, they were called the Toronto Blue Shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they had blue shirts.
Right.
I mean, the team that did come in from Toronto in the NHL, which was owned by a group of men who owned the arena, so they called themselves the Toronto Arenas.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually won the Stanley Cup that year.
As the Toronto Arenas.
As the Toronto Arenas, a new team in the new league. Because Frank Calder said to the owners.
So who were the owners then?
So you had the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, who were owned by?
The
Molson family?
No. That was decades before the Molsons came along. But you had J. Ambrose O'Brien. You had the Ottawa ownership group. I'm not sure who it was at that time. I don't think it was still.
So Ottawa was part of the original six?
Ottawa was part, not the original six.
The original
start of the NHL.
Start of the NHL.
Start of the NHL had 5 teams.
Right.
You had the Montreal Canadiens. The Ottawa Senators. The Toronto Arenas. The Montreal Wanderers. Yeah, and the Quebec Bulldogs. Okay?
Hang on a second.
5 teams.
Montreal Canadiens?
Yeah. Canadiens.
Montreal
Wanderers.
What happened to the Maroons?
Maroons didn't come in, and Maroons came in with the Bruins in 1924.
So there was 3 Montreal
No, because
teams?
the Wanderers only lasted 4 games because their rink burnt down. The Westbound Arena.
Okay.
So
was
the rink
that? Was that?
No, it was legit.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was legit. It burnt down. They lost their equipment and everything. They tried to cobble together, and to continue playing. They weren't able.
They should have called Livingston. He would have set them up.
Eddie would have set them up. Yeah, for sure. He had deer. Wrong color sweater, but they could have figured something out, right? No,
they
Eddie
could have
was,
been the Wanderers. They could have been blue. They could have been fleur de lis.
They could actually. The Wanderers sweater was blue at one point, but the Wanderers were a powerhouse in hockey in the first decade of the 1900s.
Okay.
And into the second decade, but predominantly the first decade. Them and the Ottawa Silver Seven, the Ottawa Senators, they were nicknamed the Silver Seven. They were the 2 most dominant teams from basically 1902 to 1911. And then the NHA started in 1909. So, and you didn't win the Stanley Cup by winning those leagues. You had to win those leagues and then compete.
You went compete for the Stanley Cup.
Compete against other leagues and other teams. And not that it was still a challenge trophy, but it is complicated. Like the history of the Stanley Cup is complicated, but the history of the NHL is not. The NHL was formed on this day in 1917. The forerunner of the NHL was the National Hockey Association, the NHA, and you had those 5 teams. Quebec did not have enough money to operate. That first year, they took a leave of absence. They put their players up in a dispersal draft. The Toronto Arenas and Ottawa, I believe, had first pick. They didn't, for whatever reason, inexplicably, did not take Joe Malone. He ended up going to the Montreal Canadiens. He scored 44 goals in 20 games, led the league in scoring in the first year. Then he went back to Quebec when Quebec came back the next season. Montreal Wanderers rink burnt down. They only played 4 games. That's the default of the 2. They stopped all operations of the team. And so the NHL finished its first season with 3 teams.
Really?
Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa. They played...
And Toronto won the cup.
Toronto won the NHL that year, and then had to play, I believe it was the Vancouver Millionaires for the Stanley Cup. And
not the Renfrew Millionaires.
Not the Renfrew Millionaires.
A lot of millionaires around that time.
Renfrew Millionaires was a common name. Some of the names were used for multiple teams across the country in those days. The Renfrew Millionaires was not their real name. They were actually the Renfrew Creamery Kings.
Really?
They were nicknamed the Millionaires, much like Ottawa was nicknamed the Silver Seven.
Oh, okay.
Because Ottawa were the Senators, and after they won their 3rd Stanley Cup in a row, the owner gave every player $75 worth of silver.
Oh, really?
In 1905. $75 worth of silver.
And there were 7 guys.
And it was 7-man hockey.
Right.
So the media, the day, nicknamed them the Silver Seven. So if you look on the list of Stanley Cup winners, it actually says Ottawa Silver Seven. That was not their name. And if you look, and people in Renfrew even today talk about the Renfrew Millionaires, that wasn't actually their name. Right. They were nicknamed the Millionaires because of the high-priced talent that they brought in.
Oh, is that
Lester Patrick, Cyclone Taylor, Newsy Lalonde. Like, they brought in the biggest names of the day.
You know
Cyclone Taylor was making $5,000 a year, Chris.
Back then?
In 1910.
That's a lot of money.
$5,000 in 1910. He was making more.
It's a damn good thing he got that job, because not a lot of them. He wasn't going to get a job in the government with the first name Cyclone.
Probably not.
Just like that. What were his parents thinking? Really?
Well, his real name was Fred.
Oh,
okay. Fred Cyclone Taylor, who rumored scored a goal skating backwards through the team. And
we don't have those names anymore.
No.
Here's dear Mr. Bettman. Let's bring back nicknames to the NHL.
Yeah.
Okay, I want every player to have a nickname.
Yeah.
Okay, like I want it to be.
They all do.
Well, you said that, okay.
Well, there's no better than Wi-Fi.
Okay.
That's a pretty good one.
Wi-Fi. Who's that?
Well, the Habs. Jakai.
Oh,
Harvard
Jakai. Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah, because
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they nicknamed him the players. Did.
The players?
I don't
Yeah,
think he's called that.
Yeah,
But,
you know what?
But it was social media. It took off like wildfire.
I bet it did.
And
I'm not on that, so I don't.
Yeah.
I'm on the Facebook, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm on the old person Facebook. I have that, and that's it. Like I'm horrible with everything else. I don't even like. And you know what? It's the only thing that's kept me sane. Because otherwise, I'd be there, and people would be telling me that my voice doesn't match my.
There you go.
Looks anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'll be heartbroken.
Anyway,
All right,
that's
that was this day.
This day in hockey. It kind of ran off there on different tangents, but
it's good.
The history of the NHL. It began on this day. They start the league. Obviously, we all know. Well, not everybody maybe knows, but expansion of the 20s was pretty substantial, including your Bruins.
Yeah.
Coming in with as I said, the Montreal Maroons in 24.
Was and Harry Sinden was the.
Harry Sinden was the GM. You know, it was. I mean, they were a hell of a franchise, man, and they.
Well, no. So didn't
they became a hell of a team as soon as they picked up Eddie Shore.
That's right. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So didn't Eddie Shore have some ownership issue? Like, did he own the American Hockey League team?
Yeah, he did, but he also in Springfield.
In Springfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this is at the end of his career.
Well, okay.
You know, and so it was conflict of interest, and the Bruins were going, no, you can't pick and choose the games you're going to play. And he said, well, I'm done with Boston. So, like, he got his cup wins with Boston in 29 and 39. He wasn't on the 41 winner. At that time, he was playing for the New York Americans.
Okay.
So he went there to finish his career because they said, we don't give a shit when you play. You know, we got you in the lineup is a win for us.
Right.
So you come play into the rest of your career here, which was very little at that point. I think it was 39, 40, 41.
Oh, and so that's why he ended up in Springfield.
Well, he
had
bought the Springfield team, and he was starting to run it. He was thinking of life after the
hockey.
NHL. You know, he was pretty much on his last legs at that point. Only still very effective, but I mean, not nowhere near nobody is as much as he was in his first few years.
No. Also,
by the time he came to the NHL, like, he was lighting it up in Edmonton.
Yeah.
You know, for the Express there, I think they were called Edmonton. But he was an absolute powerhouse. I saw the house he grew up in 2003. I was in Western Canada on my way to Foam Lake, Saskatchewan, and we drove by Cooper and the other town there, and they said, the guy told me, he said, that's the home, and I said, that's the home, that's the house, and he said, yeah, and I said, wow, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool, because
that is cool.
Eddie Shore was in 5 altercations in one game in 1929, such as it was. I mean, people have said to me, "Oh, I checked the stats. The NHL's the stats," and he didn't get 5 separate fighting majors. No, you idiot! Because it wasn't called that way. You know, do a little homework. Go back and look through the papers. Look at the write-up, and you'll see he was in 5 different altercations. The Montreal Maroons went in that game and said, we're going to put Eddie Shore in the hospital tonight. Tonight, Eddie Shore goes to the hospital. That's what they said in the room before the game, and that's what they did. What they weren't counting on was he took 2 of them with him.
Yeah.
There was so much blood on the ice during the game, they had to stop the game. No Zambonis in those days. They had to come out with the scrapers and scrape the blood off the ice. That's how vicious that game was. Eddie Shore, a guy named Gus Trottier, Shore collapsed his lung. And he fought Hooley Smith, he fought Gaynor, he fought Boucher, he fought Trottier. Like, these were like stick in the face, cross checks across the neck, spears, gloves down, brawling, just like swinging, uncontrollable brawling. And the write-ups in the paper, in the Montreal papers the next day, talk about how it was a mandate to get Eddie Shore out of the game and preferably in the hospital.
Well, then you know what? So did the league fine the Montreal Maroons?
No fines. You know what happened? Eddie missed one game. One game is all he missed. He came back, played the next home game. The Bruins are playing. The owner of the Bruins, Mr. Adams.
Okay.
He's the guy
Jack Adams, right?
Not Jack Adams.
Not Jack
it's a
Adams.
different.
Quincy Adams.
Wait, I may have the name wrong now. Hold on. Adams was in Detroit. the owner, I may have the name wrong, but the owner of the Boston Bruins, was it Adams as well? I'm not sure. But the owner of the Bruins had Eddie Shore skate the center ice at the pregame, and he gave him a check of $100 for every stitch he took in his face in that brawl. That's what he did. The owner, is it Mr. Brown maybe? No, it's saying, I should know this, and I'm just drawing a blank. But I just think it's one of the most fascinating stories.
So how many stitches?
Well, he took like quite a few.
26.
26. No, it wasn't that many. It wasn't that many. It wasn't that many in the face. But, you know, he had stitches around an eye and over mouth and everything. He lost teeth. It was, you know, he had a big black eye. It was, you know, obviously, you know, various other bodily injuries from the sticks. And
Undisclosed
the
upper body?
Yeah. Upper body, undisclosed injury. He's going to be out for a while. Yeah, he missed one game and came back and played. I think he's the toughest player ever to wear skates. I don't think he's ever been a guy. The stories about him, if you ever want to get into the stories about him, absolutely legendary. And I've gone on way too long. But the bottom line is that Eddie Shore came in when the Boston Bruins, they became an expansion team in 24 and the NHL expanded. But today the NHL started in 1917 and it's a great historical date, the fact that we're taping today.
That's right.
There you go.
All right, that was this week in hockey history. And we'll be back to wrap this frickin' show up. Okay, we're back to wrap this frickin' show up. Okay. And you know what? You know, I know we went along. We had the this day in hockey history.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
We always go
But I'm
along.
going to tell you, I know we go along, but the problem is this, is that the strength of what you do is in the anecdotal information. So I even had somebody say that to me this week. They said, you know, what I like about Liam is it's not just trivia. It's not just this is the answer. It's this is the answer and this is what he was wearing. You know what I mean? And this is, they didn't say it that way, but they said, but this is the story behind it. Okay? Yeah. And they even equated it to, and I can't remember who the CBC announcer was who used to do this. And he used to end the thing is, and that's the rest of the story.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, not a CBC.
Paul something.
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I don't think he's a CBC guy. I think
But
he's
Paul Harvey.
American guy, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Because when I write on Twitter, sometimes I write longer tweets.
Right.
I'm doing I take somebody's tweet and I take it, I say, wow, those three names are connected and here's why. And I'll write a series like 4 or 5 tweets. You print them all at the same time. It becomes like a little story. And as I'm finishing, I always go, and now you know the rest of the story.
Okay.
Oh, no, hey, listen, man. Our cell phones changed my gigs. Like in New Brunswick this week, all 5 nights, when we get off, when the guys are done off the ice, and we go upstairs, or we go to the bar, wherever we're going, and I get on that microphone, this is exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to light it up large. And I'm going to close every bar. And I'm going to love it.
Well, I'm sorry that I can't be there.
Me too, buddy.
It's, you know,
I'll have one for you.
All right. It's
per hour.
You're so good to me.
You know, it's
So
just
good
trying to
me.
help out, bud.
Well, you know,
I feel your pain. And
yeah. Well, no, it's good. And you know what? But when you come back,
Yeah.
then we'll be there. And then for other events, we'll get that.
Yeah.
going. And so that has been Offside with Haas and McGuire. I've been Haas.
I am McGuire. G'day.